Throughout the years, the term Freemasonry has been floated about the public and has generated different ideas of what that is exactly. And in doing the Builder's Workshop, I mentioned that I am an esoteric Freemason, and this has generated the question that has come up several times. And that question is, what exactly is esoteric Freemasonry? It's a great question. I'm the Desert Viking. I'm an esoteric Freemason. And today, we're going to discuss what esoteric Freemasonry is. Before we can really begin about that, let's talk a little bit about what Freemasonry is and why I chose to become one. Freemasonry is a fraternal order that went public in 1717 in London, England. Before that, it was considered a secret society, and it really was a secret society. No one knew for sure that it existed. And in 1717, they went public. Why did they go public in 1717? One of a theory that I like, that I've read, that I believe, is around that time, the Catholic Church had lost a lot of its influence. The Inquisition had lost a lot of its power, and England went Protestant. So the danger of being put to death for heresy went away. And so there was no longer a need to be secret. So Freemasonry has not been a secret society for a very long time. 1717 is when they went public. Now, before that, where Freemasonry originated is lost to the shadows of time. Being that it was a secret society, they didn't advertise or write things down. Everything about it was communicated verbally. So there are no records of when exactly it started. The oldest Freemasonic document that exists comes from 1380 or thereabouts, and it is a document called the Regis Poem. There are many different speculations about where it originated. In fact, YouTube likes to put a little thing down that talks about Freemasons derived from the stonemasons guilds of the Middle Ages. There's no proof to anything. So I'm going to I like to start off pretty much anything that I talk about with this. I'm not a guru. I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. Nobody knows for sure where Freemasonry started. So everything I'm going to say is based off of my own opinion and beliefs. But I don't want to have to preface everything I say with, in my opinion, etc. We'll just get that out of the way. Always just assume that everything I'm talking about I know is just my opinion. Okay, now, we don't know where the Freemasons originated from. We know that the symbols that the Freemasons use stretches back a very, very long time into antiquity. There are Egyptian obelisks, one of which is in New York City, that has Freemasonic symbology on it. And this came from Egypt, in ancient Egypt times. Now, Freemasonry itself did not exist as Freemasonry back in antiquity. But Freemasonry, as Manly P. Hall likes to say, along with a cousin order, the Rosicrucians, are the two orders that carry the flame of the mystery schools today. Many people will dispute that. Many Freemasons will dispute that. Because, as there is no proof to anything, everyone's got an idea of where it started. The legend that I believe that rings true to me mostly is that once the Knights Templar were disbanded, they were burned at the stake, put to death, and scattered in 1307, Friday the 13th, October 13th, 1307. They went underground, the Knights Templar, and they scattered. Some went to Scotland. Some fought under the banners of Robert the Bruce. Some, it is alleged, sailed west to a new world. And there's a whole thing we can get into on the legend of the Knights Templar and their vaults and whatnot that supposedly exist in North America. I'm not really going to talk about that here, but the Knights Templar were able to freely travel through the Middle East, Jerusalem, etc., and they were on good terms with a lot of different cultures based off of their openness and their willingness to learn the languages, to learn the cultures, etc. And they picked up belief systems. And the Knights Templar were said to have used or practiced or whatever other cultures' rites, the mystery school rites. And so when they were driven underground, they chose to hide in plain sight. The Templars created or had stonemasons working for them. That's how a lot of the cathedrals were built in Europe. And what better way to hide amongst your enemy than to do it in plain sight? So they adopted the stonemasons' tools and regalia and vernacular, for lack of better terms. And somewhere in that time, like I said 1380s when the Regis poem was allegedly written, the order as it became known was crafted and created alongside the Rosicrucians. And they carry along with them the emblems and the symbols and the rituals of the mystery schools that came from Egypt, Alexandria, and then were driven past the Council of Nicaea once Emperor Theodius evicted the mystery schools basically and burned the library, etc. down. They traveled north to what is now Turkey and Baghdad and set up shop as the Sabians. The mystery schools have always they've been around. They just had to do it kind of on the down low. So as the Templars assimilated and created the Freemasons Guild, that's where the symbols derived from. And to this day. Now, Freemasonry, and you ask yourself, when you ask me, or ask a Freemason, don't do an internet search. If you do an internet search, you're going to get all kinds of different answers of what Freemasonry is. Freemasonry as an organization, as an order, their primary mission is to make men better. Freemasons are very active in charities, active in their communities, active in trying just to improve the area around them, community, state, government. We swear an obligation to stand behind the nation. And if you think about it, the founding fathers of this country many of them were Freemasons. That's really what the order is about at the very high level. And if you ask, and that's about where total agreement of its members will sit. Beyond that, you're going to get a lot of different answers. There are several appendant bodies. You're probably familiar with the Shriners. The Shriners build hospitals for children, do amazing things for the community. They're Freemasons. It's an appendant body. Freemasonry is a place for men to go to be around men that are more, I don't know. It's a place that is not like the outside. You can talk about things that have more substance a lot easier. It's not saying you can't outside, but for someone like me, it was just a lot easier in there. And I chose Freemasonry as, for me, my life was asteroided about a year ago. It was totally destroyed. I had nothing. And that's well documented in this channel, and I don't need to reiterate. But I literally had nothing. I was a smoking crater, and a voice said to me, now it's time to build. It's time to rebuild. And what better place to rebuild than the Freemasons? Now, there's also a lot of misinformation about Freemasonry. I was fed a lot of misinformation. I have always leaned on the mystic side of things all my life. It is where I feel most comfortable and where I feel the truth largely lies. was raised Catholic, and the Catholics, well, not Catholics in general, but the church does not like Freemasonry. The church condemns Freemasonry as being blasphemous and heresy. And I was taught as a Catholic that the reason that the Freemasons were bad was because we at the time but we openly share lodge with members of all faiths. And that's bad. And that whole attitude right there, that everyone's wrong except for me, is why one of the reasons why I joined Freemasonry. Because I've never once acknowledged that attitude as being legitimate. And I never will. Because the world is a big world. And there are multiple truths beyond what I know and think. I know enough to know that I know very little. But the world is full of people who claim to know and have all the answers. And all you have to do is do this thing that they were taught, and you'll be on the right path. And if you don't do that thing, you're bad, and you're going to burn in a hell. I learned this lesson as a youngster because I had been told by Jehovah's Witnesses I was going to burn in hell, Catholics I was going to burn in hell, Pentecostals that I was going to burn in hell, Mormons that I was misguided. Of course, then I had encounters with some people from the Islamic faith. We were infidels. The Jews, you're not, chosen. You're going to suffer. And I noticed a common thread between all of that stuff. And it essentially came down to whatever the individual was taught, that was the correct way, and everything else was bad and wrong. So, as a Catholic, I was taught the Freemasons were bad and wrong because they acknowledge and accept other faiths. Because there's only really two requirements to being a Freemason. Number one, you have to be a man. And yes, I know that argument in today's world, the whole gender argument, I get it. But you have to be a biological male. Number two, you have to believe in God. They're not supposed to ask you what religion you profess, you seek. As long as you believe in God, you're fine. You can't be an atheist. Most Freemasons I've known, being that I live in North America and the United States, have been Christians. Many are devout Christians. They are very, very strong in their belief. So when you hear these things like Freemasons worship the devil and Baphomet and all these things, that has never been something I have seen one time. That is garbage. So you hear a lot of different things. I was told all kinds of horror stories about the Freemasons. Now, even the Freemasons inside the order, you have a group of people, and there are a couple million Freemasons in the world, and if you try to judge an entire group of people based off of the actions of someone you knew that was maybe not the best example of that order, is wrong. That's like saying all women are bad, all men are bad. Well, we do live in a time where all men seem to be bad, according to the internet. But you get the drift, right? You can't say like all Christians are bad, all women are bad, because I know a few that are bad. That's you can't do that. So of course there's going to be some examples of bad Freemasons. I'm sure there are. It's mathematical certainty that there are. When I first tried to join, I was 21 or 22. And I was told you had to be a Christian to be a Freemason. So I couldn't join the lodge because I wasn't. My second attempt, I was 35. And again, I was told you have to be a Christian to join. Okay, you don't. Those people were very misinformed. There are, however, lodges where they will poke to find out what religion you are. They're not supposed to do that, but they'll do it. And I don't really know what to say to that. There are a lot of people interested in the mystery schools that they get into Freemasonry and are told that there's never been a thing of such as that. And so those people leave. Disappointed. But Freemasonry is a lot of things to a lot of people. And you're never going to get an agreement from a handful of them on what it is. You're going to get different answers. And in a way, that's its strength. Esoteric Freemasonry, which is what I am, is essentially we look at the mystery school aspect of Freemasonry. So we are interested in not only the surface level stuff, but we look at the symbology, the ritual, where it came from, and we dig deeper. So as an esoteric, I study the mysteries, such as Kabbalah and the Hermetic philosophies and things like that. And esoteric Freemason means I do those things, and I look at the background and the roots of Freemasonry itself and how they how they come together, how the mystery schools worked through them. And I'm very fortunate in my lodge that there are several esoteric Freemasons. And the cool thing is every one of them is different from each other. And I say that's different because one of the axioms, one of the Hermetic philosophies is duality. And I talk about this in the Hermetic philosophy part of the Builder's Workshop. It's important that you're around people who are not an echo chamber to you. That's something that I think needs to be addressed in our culture today, because we want to surround ourselves with people who only think like us. And if they possess any bad wrong think, we try to harm them. We try to cancel them. And that's not good. You don't want to be in an echo chamber where everyone just agrees with everyone. There's no resistance there. There's no growth. You will be stagnant, like a stagnant pool, and it will start to smell rancid. On the other side of things, you don't want to be with people who are totally opposed to every single thing you do. Now, I've lived most of my life in that environment. I grew up with everyone opposed to what I did. I have lived my adult life with most people opposed to everything that I do, or it seems that way anyway. And that can wear on you. You need to find people who share common threads with you, but who don't fully agree with everything. Because the amount of growth that you can sustain and achieve in that environment is phenomenal. And that is why I count myself very lucky. I have other brothers across the country. They're the only ones, or they think they're the only ones. And they're not even allowed to talk about esotericism. And in some places, I'm told, in some lodges, that they'll consider that as you can be removed from the order if you talk about that kind of thing. Now, whether that is true or not, I don't know. I'm not in those orders, or in those lodges. I do know the lodges that I tried to get into in a particular state. I was told incorrect things. So it's all within the realm of possibility, I think. And that is a shame. And that again comes down to Freemasons won't all agree on what Freemasonry is, let alone the public who claims to know. Believe me, I've been told by many people all the things that are supposedly happening that I attend, that there's no grounding in reality or truth to anything that they're going on about. So yeah, so when you ask what is an esoteric Freemason, I'm a Freemason that I also study the mystery schools, and that's why I'm talking about things like the Hermetic philosophies and the Kabbalah and meditation. We're going to be talking about Gnosticism. I do that because there are people like out there who are interested in those things, and you have no idea where to even go, where to even look. And those are the things that I have found to be very beneficial to me. And so if that helps you, great. If it's not something you're interested in, great. If you're going to leave a comment about what a crock of shit it is, great. Thank you for contributing and leaving a comment. I know not everyone agrees with it, and that's fine. I don't live my life to try to be like everyone else. I think that's a painful existence. It's more painful than being alone, to be honest, in my opinion. But anyhow, that is esoteric Freemasonry. That is the mystics. It is what resonates with me. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in Freemasonry, all you have to do is find the lodge nearest you and go knock on the door. That's it. You go knock on the door. My advice would be to try to get a hold of them, their secretary, and find out when they have openings or friend of friends or whatever they're going to call them. where you can go meet with other people interested. You're a seeker, and just kind of see what it is. And every lodge is different, so it's one of those you have to find the lodge that fits you best. And if you're a woman and you're interested in Freemasonry, you may see that there are women who claim to be Freemasons. We have what are called regular Freemasonry and irregular Freemasonry. Regular Freemasonry means that we are endorsed by the Grand Lodge of our state. So that's how things are broken out and governed. Every state in the country has a Grand Lodge that oversees all of the individual lodges. There is no higher authority than that. There is no national Grand Lodge. There's no world Grand Lodge. There's no Illuminati fantasy nonsense. It's governed by the state's Grand Lodge. Okay. Irregular Masons, which you'll see a lot of, I see a lot of them on social media. These are not recognized by the Grand Lodge. They practice a form of Masonry that's not recognized. They're irregular. And regular Freemasons, we are not allowed to commingle with those people on a Masonic level, meaning we can't discuss things like Freemasonry with those people. So just be aware they exist. Female Freemasons are irregular. They would belong to an irregular lodge, but they exist. And maybe you don't care about regularity, and that's fine. That's your path to walk. We do have the Order of the Eastern Star, and that is an appendant body that females can join. So that's something you can look into. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to field any of those for you. So again, you just have to go knock. I will be continuing my discussions on here on the mysticism aspect of everything, but I hope that clears up what is an esoteric Freemason, and how can I join if I'm interested. So if you have any questions, let me know. Till next time, I'll see you later.